I'm just a young person in an old body. I believe it too. I'm lucky.
I would like to paint the way a bird sings. Claude Monet. As the decades pass, and if you are lucky enough to still be alive, you begin to lose things. Some trivial, some that you believe are more than you can bear. If you're like me, with a fearful nature and easily upset by the vicissitudes of life, you might seek out a guide who can accept losses with equanimity, who can, in my late father's constant refrain, roll with the punches. In my 66 years of life, I have never met anyone better at this than the artist Pat Witt. Pat is 92 years old and has been running her legendary art classes at her Barnes Studio of Art since 1962. She has initiated countless South Jersey children and adults into what Robert Henri termed the art spirit. It's so much more than learning how to draw, paint, and sculpt. What Pat really teaches is how to live in harmony with yourself and other people in nature. Pat suffers from macular degeneration, a progressive form of blindness, and she's also become quite hard of hearing. I stopped by at the Barnes Studio to hear Pat reminisce about the artist Morris Blackburn, who was her great artistic mentor. But at one point, after telling how she had bought a Blackburn painting with money she saved up for a used car, she told a story about her eyesight, which thankfully I recorded.
When I was selling art, I could buy art then. And when I was really painting hot, when I could see and I wasn't blind. I'm blind, I'm legally blind now. I'll tell you a funny story about it. I went to the retina specialist. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm having configurations in my eye. This one is like blue with pink dots. Then sometimes there's swarms of bugs, looks like. Then there's the ocular migraine, and it's bright colors. Carol Burnett, she took me to the retina specialist that they're connected to Will's Eye, which I have been going to Will's Eye, but it's a big trip up there. So I found someone here. After he examined my eyes and everything, he said, "Do you have any questions?" And I said, "Yeah." I thought, am I going to tell him about it? I don't know if it's in my brain. Am I getting a, a screwy brain? I said, well, I get configurations a lot, and I did a sketch of them. I have them in my little black book. And I said, they're like this, sometimes flat, and this. So being a hard of hearing, he said to me, it sounded like you have a Claude Monet syndrome. I said, what? He said, you have a Claude Monet syndrome. I said, that's it. I understand it perfectly. Now I know why. Now I understand why Monet, it got blurry at the end, and how El Greco elongated figures. He had stigmatism. And what about Degas and Mary Cassatt? She went blind because her cataract operation was a failure. And he's looking at me, and I said, I understand it perfectly. So, so I went out and said to Carol Barnett, I have Claude Monet syndrome, and that's not too bad. So he said, they're in the macular, not in the brain.
Oh.
So then, Carol Barnett, we have a friend that is blind and worked for the Blind Commission. So she went and said, Emily, did you know Pat has Claude Monet syndrome? Well, right away, Emily said, she doesn't have Claude Monet. Tell him the name.
She has Charles Monet.
What is that?
That's the name of that.
Ocular hallucinations, visual.
And he was in the 1700s, and he's the first person to record it, so it's named after him.
He's a scientist.
Macular degeneration,
put-
colors,
so
all kinds
even-
of weird things.
Yeah. Well, she went on for days saying,
They should have just left you alone and let you
I
breathe.
know, because Carol Barnett said, I'm not going to tell her. And then
I said you're 92, you can say whatever you want.
That's right. That's right.
And I said, and then somebody else said, Charles Bonnet would sound like Claude Bonnet. Does it to you?
But yeah. Yeah, if I, muffle
Sure.
my earlobes.
And when I came out of the waiting room to the breakup, I said to the girl that was making up my next appointment, I said, have you ever heard of Claude Monet syndrome? She said, no. I don't know what it is. To me, that is the funniest.
Pat, your ability to laugh at what life throws your way is simply awe-inspiring. The day after I filmed you, I got a really bad cold and I was lying in bed feeling sorry for myself. I'm not a strong person, and I thought I was on death's door and that this was not an ordinary cold, it was something much worse. And even though I'm not like you, I want to be like you, and that in itself is a blessing.
What they taught me at Will's Eye in Philadelphia, I had a wonderful doctor, Dr. Sando, Jr. and Sr., and they taught me how, it's called eccentric fixation, and I have to look for a sweet spot. I'm still painting. These I just did.
Wow, great.
Yeah. Only because I have so many friends, they'll set the palette for me. I use white plastic plates now and black plates. And then that's how I get the luminosity. And you don't ever stop. Mr. Blackburn, I would say, Mr. Blackburn, who do you go to and ask for a critique? He said, well, Patricia, it becomes your own battle. And it must. Yes, who do I go to for a critique? It's hard. Yes, it does become your own battle, I think. And it's a joyful battle, I think. I believe.
The Barnes Studio of Art is an American treasure. In 2008, it incorporated as a New Jersey nonprofit. So far, there have been 4 generations of students who have received Pat's teaching, her wisdom, her love, and her caring. On the ceiling of the room leading to the painting studio, Pat has let her students sign their names. In the warmer months, the classes are often held outdoors, near the pond, or in the woods. Part of the art spirit is recognizing that nature is the source of all beauty and must be protected. If you are looking for a deserving cause to support, please consider making a donation to the Barnes Studio of Art to help it and Pat continue their wonderful work. Pat, thank you so much for being my role model.